It was late at night, and the drunkard banged on the door so hard that it shook. I pushed the couch, table, and all sorts of furniture against the door, but Camala Depp, my aunt, moved them away. She rolled her eyes at me and thought that I was kicking up a fuss over nothing. Your brothers want to watch Gloria's theater performance, and they must be busy right now. You can't bother them. We just need to open the door and chase him away. That's all. When I saw the familiar scene before me, I realized that I had returned to the past. This was exactly what had happened in the past. I had just argued with my brothers and had moved out a few days ago. This drunkard had pretended to be a delivery driver and came over to my place. My brothers were at Gloria's theater performance. Meanwhile, I had an argument with Camala. I guarded the door and refused to let the drunkard in, but Camala insisted on opening the door for him. In the past, I decided to call my brothers for help. This time, I decided to save my own skin. Just when I brought out my phone to call the police, Camala rushed over in a frenzy to snatch it from my hands. I told you. You don't have to bother them. I knew that she was going to stop me, so while she put my phone on a high shelf, I ran to the living room, picked up the house phone, and made the call. But before the call went through, Camala pressed down on the button that cut the call. You were thinking about calling the police? You just want to force your brothers to come here, don't you? If they do, what's going to happen to Gloria? Camala flung her arm and threw the house phone on the floor before stomping on it a few times. Then, she grabbed my arm and dragged me to the door. This is nothing. If you're so worried, all we need to do is open the door and ask. Kamala's hands were like pincers, and I could not break free. My legs just kept sliding across the floor. When the drunkard saw that I refused to open the door, he grew impatient. The rapid knocks were like drum beats that pierced through the door and hit my heart directly. I was so worked up that I started sweating bullets. My body trembled in time with the knocks. But Camala pretended not to notice and kept moving forward. I know what you're planning. You just don't want your brothers to focus on Gloria. But Gloria is an orphan. She has nothing. I don't care if you dislike her, but you can't treat her like she's an eyesore. I had known Camala for nearly 20 years. She was always arrogant and looked down on everyone. The one person she cared about was Gloria. Whenever Gloria had to perform, Camala would always arrive on time and even give her my things. I never thought that she would be so indifferent about my survival. The knocks grew even more rampant, and I heard him swear with every word he knew. If the door opened, I would be dead. I tried to appease Camala, but she acted like she was possessed and kept trying to drag me to the door. At that moment, I figured something out. She probably had hired the drunkard. She always found me an eyesore because of Gloria. So, she was putting up with this act to have the drunkard kill me. I was in despair. Despite returning to the past, was I still unable to escape the fate of being tortured to my death by a drunkard? In the previous cycle, even though I managed to escape from the drunkard, I still ended up dying at the hands of other drunkards. I had called my brothers behind Kamala's back. Once they heard me crying for help, they sent their bodyguards to capture the drunkard in time, and I managed to survive. But Gloria did not see my brothers even when the curtains closed, and she thought she had been abandoned, so she decided to stab herself with a prop. She died on the spot. I was really sad during the funeral. My brothers held me tightly to comfort me. Don't blame yourself. At the very least, you're safe. But that day, they had me kidnapped, and they gave me over to a group of drunkards. My big brother, Saul Handel's, eyes gleamed in the darkness that day. It was terrifying. How could you still have the galls to live? Klein Handel, my second brother, grabbed my hair and hissed, "That was just a drunkard. You could have just chased him away. Did you really have to call us back? You video called to prove that you're more important, didn't you? Look. Gloria's dead now. You're not getting out of this alive either." Multiple pairs of hands groped me, and my clothes were torn apart. I held my tears back and tried to defend myself. I wasn't thinking anything like that. I just instinctively thought of asking you two for help when I was in danger. If I had known that the theater performance was more important than Gloria's own life, I would have just died. My brothers and I depended on each other as we grew up. In order to survive, we did our best. We would never give up on our own lives that easily. When I learned that Gloria had actually chosen to end her own life because my brothers did not watch her performance, I was stunned and speechless. But what shocked me even more was that my brothers would send me to my death because of this. The rough hands moved over my body, and I felt so humiliated that I wanted to die. I wanted Saul to just kill me. But Saul just chuckled. When you played that trick, you should have expected this. Have fun with her. Once she's dead, you'll be rewarded. They then left. Before long, Klein came back. I felt a little hope at that. But he took out several knives and impaled my limbs with them instead. I screamed, and he was satisfied. You can't play any of your tricks now, you conniving witch. I was pinned to the floor, and my heart was filled with sorrow and pain as those people had their way with me. I remembered that when Gloria joined the family, my brothers swore that I would always remain their precious sister, and I believed them. But in the end, I was just a clown. The knocks pulled my mind back to the present. I sucked in a few breaths and calmed down. Camala was old, after all. After trying her best to drag me over to the door, she was exhausted. I seized the chance to bite down on her hand before I broke free and ran to the bedroom. I immediately locked the door and left Camala outside while she raged and yelled at me. Just when I finally regained my freedom, my legs went limp, and I slid on the floor. I felt hope fill my entire being. This was my first step towards success. This time, I was going to survive. But suddenly, I heard the door handle turn. Camala had a key to the bedroom. The door opened, and Camala slapped me. She grabbed my hair and dragged me outside. At that moment, the house phone, which was by my foot, started ringing. I used my foot to kick the receiver out before slamming my foot on the speaker button. My neighbor's displeased voice came through. Wendy, why aren't you sleeping? What are you doing at your house? And who's that man at your door? Tell him to stop knocking. I cried out, Mrs. Wilson, call the police. Someone wants to kill me. I don't know that drunkard outside. He might be a criminal. Once he breaks into my house, you might be next. I just claimed that the drunkard was a criminal without knowing for sure. However, when a person's life or interests were under threat, they would treat the matter more seriously. As expected, Ruth Wilson raised her voice. A criminal? Hang on. I'll call the police right now. Hang in there. When Camala heard that, she immediately stopped and headed over to the phone. He's not a criminal. He's just a delivery driver who's here to deliver Wendy's painkillers. She's lying to you. I'm Wendy's aunt. Wendy feels neglected because her brothers went to watch her sister's performance, and she kicked up quite a fuss. I was just lecturing her. You don't have to call the police. This is nothing, really. It's late, and we caused you trouble. We're truly sorry. Soon, Ruth's boisterous laughter came through. It's fine. I have a few menaces at home who can kick up a hell of a fuss as well. But it's really late now. Wendy, you should stop when everyone's had enough. I've seen your sister before. She's a very compliant and lovable girl. You're not a child anymore, so you should start acting like an older sister. After they exchanged a few more words, I felt even more hopeless. Camala and the drunkard outside had a very good reason for their guts to do this here. This was a new residential area, and there were scarcely any tenants living here. Most of the apartments were still empty. If I missed out on getting help from Ruth, it would be incredibly difficult for me to get anyone else to hear the commotion here. The drunkard outside grew louder. Suddenly, I heard a loud screech. It was as if something sharp had slammed into the security door. Even though I did not know exactly what was going on outside, I knew that the drunkard had brought out his weapon, so I absolutely could not go outside. I tried to run to the window, but Camala instantly realized my intentions and grabbed me. I could only cry out to Ruth again. Mrs. Wilson, can you hear me? The drunkard outside has brought out his weapon and is trying to break in. There are only a few tenants here. Once he robs my place, he's going to rob yours next, and it'll be too late for you to call the police. How could you ask Mrs. Wilson to make a false report? Camala hurriedly interrupted me. She glared at me, but there was a smile on her lips. There's no weapon. The delivery driver is just getting a little more frantic because Wendy keeps refusing to open the door. He doesn't want his wages reduced, and he's working overtime. You have no idea just how professional delivery drivers are nowadays. They have to make sure that the packages are delivered right into their customers' hands. I'm going to open the door now. Ruth had almost agreed to call the police right then, but she hesitated. I wanted to continue screaming, but Camala removed her sock and stuffed it into my mouth. I'm going to take Wendy to the door to get the package now. My hands aren't free right now, so you'll have to hang up. I don't want to keep you waiting. Ruth said nothing else, and my hope was cruelly snuffed out. After all, I had only just gotten to know Ruth. We did not know each other well. While she was a kind-hearted person, she would not risk her life for me. As for Camala, she was determined to kill me. With a savage face, Camala whispered into my ears, "You're so funny. People never run into danger willingly, you know? You've only just gotten to know that old bat, and you think she's going to save you? Stop daydreaming. Open the door and receive your package." Her eyes shone with malice, and she smirked. "Even though you're going to die, that man outside is a drunkard, and I'm just an aunt who dotes on her niece. Your death will have nothing to do with me. It's going to be just an accident. It's your fault for being so frail and needing painkillers for period cramps. Once you're dead, your family will belong to Gloria, and no one will treat her like an eyesore anymore." She was going to kill me for Gloria. She had said it aloud, too. I stared at Camala in shock. But why? Even though Camala looked down on me, I had always respected her because she was my aunt. I even agreed to all her requests. Gloria was just an outsider who was not even blood-related. Why would Camala risk her life for her? Before I could figure it out, my phone rang suddenly. I looked at it. It was Saul. My phone kept vibrating and nearly fell from the shelf where Camala had placed it. If Saul had called, that meant that Gloria had finished her performance, and I had a chance of being saved. In an instant, I gained a burst of strength and used it all to kick Camala away. When my phone fell, I rushed over and caught it. "Wendy, why are you only picking up now?" Saul's impatient voice came through. "Gloria finished her performance. We're going to celebrate it with her now. Are you coming?" Camala spoke up and covered my mouth. "She won't be going. I've already cooked for her, and we're just about to start eating." "Oh, you're there, Aunt Camala?" "That makes sense. Gloria insisted on calling Wendy. Anyway, enjoy your dinner." I was really worked up and could only get a few grunts out, but that did not catch Saul's attention. Saul was about to hang up when the drunkard rammed against the door. Since my phone was right beside the door, that sound must have been really loud. Saul could even hear the tremors. It immediately made him wary. "What's that sound?"